Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I will be talking about authors I've given up on. I first mentioned this video idea in my book series I Won't Finish and my popular books I'll never read videos. And a few of you were very curious about the authors that I have given up on and that I won't read from anymore. I kind of hesitated filming this video, not because it's kind of a negative video, but because I don't ever want to say never when it comes to authors or certain books. I feel like I often change my mind and I decide I want to read something or then I don't want to read it. I'm kind of very all over the place when it comes to reading and deciding what I want to read and what I don't want to read, but a majority of these I'm pretty confident that I don't want to read from anymore. Obviously, this is no hate to any of the authors. I just don't really enjoy their books anymore, and I would rather focus on authors and books that I want to read instead. Also, a lot of these authors I read years ago, and they were kind of my go-to romance authors. I don't want to say I've grown out of their work, but I definitely feel like my reading taste has changed, and a lot of these authors kind of stick to the same thing over and over again, and I've just kind of maybe gotten sick of that. I don't know. There were also so many YA authors that I could have put on this list as well, but I tried to just stick with romance authors. If you are interested in the YA authors that I don't want to read from anymore, let me know, and maybe I will make a whole video dedicated to YA authors that I'm kind of over. There's also definitely like a couple more authors I could have put on this list, but I definitely want to read one more book from them to officially decide whether I'm over their books or not. So I have 11 authors on this list, and I have read at least 5 books from each of them. So the first author that I have given up on is Elle Kennedy. I have read 15 books from Elle Kennedy, and my favorites are definitely the Off Campus series. I do actually really love this series. However, that is the only series that I really love by her, and I honestly am just not really interested in reading any of her future stuff. I read The Good Girl Complex a couple of months ago, and I honestly didn't like it. I gave it 2 stars. I also read this back in the day when it came out, so I feel like it's kind of nostalgic for me. I don't know how I would feel about it if I reread it today. I do want to try to reread this series at some point because it's been so long. Other than this series, I just don't really have an interest in Elle Kennedy anymore, and I've definitely grown out of her type of books. The next author I've given up on is Colleen Hoover. I have read 12 books by Colleen Hoover. Ugly Love and It Ends With Us are my favorites. I did give both of these 5 stars. I've actually given a lot of Colleen's books 5 stars, but again, I read all of these books when they came out way back in the day when I was first starting out with romance. For me, I need the romance to be the main part of the story, and I feel like Colleen's books kind of stretched beyond that a little bit. I know in my popular books I'll never read video, I did say that I might pick up Reminders of Him. I think that's what it's called, but I actually decided not to. I'm not gonna bother. I don't know why. I was like second guessing myself, thinking that I might read it. I'm not gonna bother. I think the only reason why I said I might give Reminders of Him a chance is because I feel left out. I think that's my biggest issue when it comes to wanting to read certain romances, is because I feel left out, but I'm pretty confident in saying that I don't think I will read anything else by Colleen Hoover anymore. Also, I want to say if you love these books and these authors, I don't have any hate towards you if you enjoy books by these authors. I obviously have loved a lot of their books. I am just not interested in reading any of their backlist or their current books. It's like when you read a book at the right time, but it's only good in that time. That's how I feel about these authors. Like, I feel like I'm just over it and I need to move on to newer stuff. I've given up on Kendall Ryan. I've read 17 of her books, My favorites were Baby Daddy and Mr. Tonight. Those were the only 2 books I have given 4 stars. Everything else has been below that. I still have a few of her books on my Goodreads TBR, but I might just delete them. I don't know. If there is one book by Kendall Ryan that you absolutely love that you think I should read, let me know. But I think I'm kind of over her books. I just found them a little mediocre and kind of basic. So I just don't think that she is an author for me. The next author I've given up on is Krista and Becca Ritchie. I've read 16 of their books, and my favorites are obviously the Addicted series and Bad Reputation, which I think is just kind of an extension of the Addicted series, to be honest. But I love the Addicted series with all of my heart. It is one of my favorite series of all time. However, I have not enjoyed any of their other books. I stopped reading their books after Alpha's Like Us came out, which is the 3rd book in the Like Us series. I simply did not enjoy the first 3 books in that series. I just feel like The Next Generation kind of tainted my feelings for the original Core 6. And as much as I love the Core 6, I just don't really have an interest in reading about their kids. Again, I just feel like it ruins the magic of this initial series for me. And I just don't really have an interest in reading anything else these authors write. Even though I do love this series and it means a lot to me, I do think some of their writing and some of their storyline choices are a little cringy. Obviously, no hate to the authors, but I don't find that their writing was that gripping or amazing that made me think that I want to read their books for the rest of my life. Then we have Emma Chase. I read 15 books by Emma Chase. My favorites are definitely the Legal Brief series. I gave the 1st and 3rd book 4 stars, and I gave this 2nd book 5 stars. I absolutely loved this book. It is one of my favorite books of all time. I genuinely love this book and the little novella that goes with it. However, this is the only book that I've really loved by Emma Chase. Her newer stuff has definitely disappointed me. I just haven't really connected or fell in love with her characters. And I reread Tangled a couple months ago, and honestly, I didn't like it when I reread it. That just proves to me that like my reading taste has definitely changed. What I enjoyed 5 years ago, I don't really enjoy now. I hate saying that I've grown out of an author, but I feel like that's what happened with me and Emma Chase, which kind of sucks, but I do really love this book and I do need to reread it. Then we have Penelope Douglas. I have read 9 of their books, and the Fall Away series is definitely my favorite. I actually do really love this series. I also did read it years ago. I also did read like Punk 57 and Birthday Girl, but those didn't really stand out to me, to be honest. But this series I loved. I feel like this was, in my opinion, Penelope's best. I don't have an interest in reading what they are currently writing. They are writing about the kids of these couples in the series, and I have heard good things about the first book that came out, but I just don't have an interest in reading it. I don't want to bother, to be honest. I just feel like this series was very sentimental for me and a series I read at the right time, and I just don't want to continue to read anything else by this author. Then we have a random one, which is Alexa Riley. I have read 85 books by Alexa Riley. All of their books are very quick novellas and short stories, so I read a lot of these back in the day, especially if I was getting into like kind of reading slumps, or if I just wanted to read something quick and short. I have not read their books in a very long time. I just don't really have an interest anymore. I would rather focus on trying to read one long book versus reading 5 short books. I honestly always gave their books either 2 or a 3-star rating. I never gave it higher than a 3-star. At some point I did just feel like I was kind of wasting my time, so I've definitely moved on from their books. I've given up on Tessa Bailey. I have read 7 of her books, and the only ones I've liked are Love Her, Lose Her, or Follow, which I don't think I've ever really heard anybody talk about Follow, but I read it years ago. I think I read that when it came out. I simply just don't enjoy Tessa Bailey's writing. There is something about her writing that I just don't enjoy. I don't find it interesting. I don't find it easy to read. I think because her books are told in third person, I just don't enjoy that for romances. I find it really, really hard to connect with the characters and the romance. I just don't enjoy it. So I have given up on Tessa Bailey. Another author that I'm over is Jay Kenner. I have read 10 of her books. I really enjoyed the Stark trilogy when I first read it years ago. I did reread this, I think last year or maybe the year before, and I didn't really enjoy my rereads, so I never continued rereading the series. And I think there are like 3 other books following Damien and Nikki, but I have not read those, and I don't think I ever will, to be honest. This is kind of like 50 Shades and the Fix series and all of those type of books that came out back in the day, like the erotica, BDSM romances. This is very much like that. I did think it was pretty well written. I do think it's better than 50 Shades in my opinion. I'm just kind of over these type of romances, and I'm just not interested in reading anything else by Jay Kenner. The last 2 authors on this list I am very hesitant about because I could see myself reading more of their books, but I don't really know which ones I want to read anymore because I feel like I'm kind of over them, but I don't know. So I have both Vi Keeland and Penelope Ward. Obviously, they have written their own solo books, which I have loved, but they often write a lot of books together. I really loved We Shouldn't by Vi Keeland and Stepbrother Dearest by Penelope Ward. These are my favorite books by these authors separately. I honestly can't pick a favorite book of theirs that they've written together because I feel like a lot of them just mesh together for me. I feel like their books that they've written together have just kind of been the same thing over and over again, and none of them have stood out to me. I think I've read 13 books by Vi Keeland and 12 by Penelope Ward. If you've read some of their duo books, let me know which one is your favorite. And if I haven't read it yet, maybe I'll check it out. I have heard some good things about one of their newer ones. I haven't read their books in a really, really long time because I just kind of felt like they were mediocre. I am willing to give them another chance, like maybe one more chance. But these ones I did really love. I have read Stepbrother Dearest like 3 or 4 times because I did really love it. I have loved their books before, but I don't know if I'm interested in reading anything else by them anymore. So those were all 11 authors that I am no longer interested in reading from. Let me know if you have read any of these authors before and if you've enjoyed their books, or let me know any authors that you've given up on recently. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.